In the freezing winter of 1959, 9 experienced hikers ventured into the Ural Mountains. They never returned. What happened to them remains one of the most baffling mysteries of the 20th century. A tent ripped open from the inside. Bodies found scattered in the snow, some with unexplained injuries. No signs of struggle, no witnesses, and no clear answers. Was it an avalanche, a military experiment, or something far more sinister? This is the story of the Dyatlov Pass Incident, a mystery that continues to haunt us to this day. The story of the Dyatlov Pass Incident begins in the winter of 1959 in the heart of the Soviet Union. A group of 10 experienced hikers, led by 23-year-old Igor Dyatlov, embarked on what was supposed to be a challenging but rewarding expedition. Their destination was Otorten Mountain, a remote peak in the northern Ural Mountains. The journey was not just a test of their physical endurance, but also a chance to earn the prestigious Grade 3 hiking certification, the highest level of achievement in Soviet hiking at the time. The group consisted of 8 men and 2 women, all students or graduates of the Ural Polytechnical Institute in Sverdlovsk, now Ekaterinburg. Among them were Igor Dyatlov, the confident and determined leader, Zinaida Kolmogorova, the only female engineering student in her year, and Yuri Doroshenko, known for his cheerful personality. They were a close-knit team, bonded by their love for adventure and the outdoors. In the weeks leading up to the expedition, the hikers meticulously planned their route and prepared their gear. They were no strangers to harsh conditions, having completed several challenging hikes together. Their equipment included warm clothing, skis, tents, and enough food to last for several weeks. They also carried cameras and diaries to document their journey, little knowing that these would later become crucial pieces of evidence. Just before the journey began, the group faced an unexpected setback. One of the hikers, Yuri Yudin, fell ill with a severe case of sciatica, a painful condition affecting his lower back. Despite his determination to join the expedition, the pain was too much to bear. Reluctantly, Yudin decided to stay behind, leaving the group with 9 members. It was a difficult decision, but he assured his friends that he would catch up with them later if his condition improved. Yudin would later recall feeling a strange sense of foreboding as he waved goodbye to his friends at the train station. Little did he know that this would be the last time he would see them alive. His decision to stay behind would make him the sole survivor of the Dyatlov group, a fact that haunted him for the rest of his life. On January 23, 1959, the 9 hikers boarded a train to Ivdol, a small town near the base of the Ural Mountains. The atmosphere was lively, filled with excitement and anticipation. They joked, played cards, and discussed their plans for the expedition. For them, this was the adventure of a lifetime. From Ivdol, the group traveled by truck to Vizhai, the last inhabited settlement before the wilderness. There, they loaded their supplies onto sledges and began their trek into the mountains. The terrain was unforgiving, with deep snow and freezing temperatures, but the hikers were undeterred. They were experienced, well-prepared, and confident in their abilities. Over the next few days, the hikers made steady progress, documenting their journey with photographs and diary entries. They marveled at the stark beauty of the Ural Mountains, unaware of the tragedy that awaited them. By January 31st, they had reached the slopes of Kolet-Syakhl, a mountain whose name ominously translates to Mountain of the Dead in the local Monsey language. It was here that they would set up their final camp, a decision that would seal their fate. The hikers pitched their tent on the evening of February 1st, preparing to rest before the final push to Otorten Mountain. The mood was lighthearted, with no indication of the horrors to come. They cooked a meal, shared stories, and took a group photo, capturing a moment of camaraderie that would later become iconic. Little did they know, this would be their last night together. As the sun set and the temperature dropped to -30 degrees Celsius, -22 degrees Fahrenheit, the hikers settled in for the night. Outside, the wind howled, and the snow fell relentlessly. Inside the tent, they were warm and safe, or so they thought. What happened next would plunge their expedition into darkness and give rise to one of the greatest unsolved mysteries of all time. The hikers pitched their tent on the evening of February 1st, 1959, on the slopes of Kolet-Syakhl, a desolate and windswept area. The mountain's name, which translates to Mountain of the Dead in the Monsey language, carried an eerie weight, though the group seemed unfazed by the ominous title. They were focused on their goal, reaching Otorten Mountain, just a day's hike away. The tent was their sanctuary, a place to rest and recharge after days of battling the harsh elements. But as night fell, the mood outside grew increasingly ominous. The temperature plummeted to -30°C, -22°F, and the wind howled like a wild beast, shaking the tent violently. The snow fell relentlessly, blanketing the landscape in an impenetrable white veil. Despite the harsh conditions, the hikers felt secure in their tent, which had been their refuge throughout the expedition. They changed into their sleeping clothes, hung their wet gear to dry, and settled in for the night, unaware that this would be their last moments of peace. The last diary entry, written by Yuri Krivonischenko, noted the time as around 9 p.m. He mentioned the strong wind and the decision to postpone the next day's hike if the weather didn't improve. Little did they know, the storm outside was nothing compared to the terror that would soon awaken them. In the dead of night, something or someone would force them to flee their tent in a panic, leaving behind their warm clothes, boots, and supplies. What happened in those dark hours remains a mystery, but the evidence left behind would tell a story of fear, confusion, and unimaginable horror. The first two bodies were found near a cedar tree, dressed only in their underwear. They had built a small fire, but it wasn't enough to save them from hypothermia. 3 more bodies were discovered between the tree and the tent, as if they had been trying to return to camp. The remaining 4 were found months later, buried under several feet of snow in a ravine. 2 of them had severe chest fractures, one had a cracked skull, and another was missing her tongue and eyes. The injuries were unlike anything seen in typical hiking accidents. The chest fractures were compared to the force of a car crash, yet there were no external wounds. The missing tongue and eyes were initially attributed to animal scavenging, but the mystery deepened when no animal tracks were found near the bodies. The Soviet authorities closed the case in May 1959, concluding that the hikers had died from a compelling natural force. The files were classified, and the incident was buried for decades. Officially, the cause of death was hypothermia, but the bizarre injuries and the lack of a clear explanation fueled countless theories. Some believed the hikers were caught in an avalanche, forcing them to flee their tent. Others suggest infrasound, a low-frequency sound wave, caused them to panic. More controversial theories point to military testing, a Yeti attack, or even extraterrestrial involvement. The truth remains elusive. To this day, the Dyatlov Pass incident remains unsolved. Expeditions continue to visit the site, hoping to uncover new clues. In 2019, Russian authorities reopened the case, only to conclude once again that an avalanche was the most likely cause. But for many, the questions far outnumber the answers. What really happened on that freezing night in 1959? Were the hikers victims of nature, human error, or something beyond our understanding? The Dyatlov Pass incident is a chilling reminder that some mysteries are never meant to be solved.